What's happening? How are you? It's the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. What episode is this? 324. Good Lord. Episode 324. Who would have thunk it? What's up, Victoria? I hope you're well. Philip, what do you say? Paulie Pork Chops Vids, what's up? Gonna have a nice show and tell today. Looking forward to today's Wednesday show. This is it's become a rare. It's a rare Wednesday show. So that said, happy hump day. Hey, Brian. Good. Don Foo's in the house. What's up, Don? When are you coming back to New York, bro? Come play the Bowery Electric. Sean Daly, what do you say? Yo, yo, yo. Yes, New York Hardcore Comics. Listen, a big treat today because this guy's out on the show. Just a taste. Just a taste of what's coming at the break. Debo the Pro's going to come on the show, man. So that's going to be great. You know? That said, what else? What can I tell you? Just listen, we're going to hang out today. We're going to do what we do. We're going to bounce the ball back and forth. We're going to talk about music, the tie that binds us together, the universal language. We have a photographer on today. Hey, what's happening, Juan? Good to see you, brother. I got a good feeling about today's show, huh? James G. Warrior, represent, my man. Speaking of representing the island of Long. There it is.
Strong Island. What's up?
Are you representing the island of Long?
I mean, the longest of islands.
Aren't you supposed to be working today? That doesn't look like the supply shed you're in.
I know.
Boy, you really dressed up the supply shed, bro.
I'm on vacation this week, so happily on vacation.
Yeah.
So,
right on.
Yeah, this is I'm excited today. I love when the photographers come on.
I know, and we've had some notable photographers through the years, man.
Yeah.
Right?
We really have. I mean,
Glennie Friedman, Ed Culver, Brooke Smith,
Godless.
Who's the rock? Remember we had the rock dude?
Mark Weiss.
That's 5. Mark Weiss.
I mean, we really have had some.
Drew Carolyn. Did we have Drew Carolyn on?
Did we have Drew on yet?
I think we did.
I don't remember. God, we've done so many shows.
Yeah.
I'd love. There's 2 photographers I'd love to get. I'd love to get Charles Peterson, and I'd love to get Bob Gruen. Those 2. One of these days.
I see Gruen. Listen, you know what we say around here. Eventually, we're going to go through everybody on the planet Earth.
We'll get you all.
Everybody on the planet Earth is going to be a guest on this show. So we're in it. We're in it for the long haul, Hey, I saw a great movie the other day, and I know you saw it as well.
Yes.
I gotta say, for those out there that are fans of not just the Mad Max. The first Mad Max film was okay. The second film, Road Warrior, is the gold standard. I would venture to say that this is the best film of the Mad Max saga since Road Warrior.
I have to agree with you. I definitely do. I feel like this took Fury Road to another level.
Oh yeah,
which was really good.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the weakest of the bunch was Thunderdome, which, it was what it was for the 80s, but I think this one, it's just so visually stunning. And
I know you're a big fan of the Apes movies, right?
Yes.
And I thought that last Planet of the Apes movie was good. It was on the Drew Stone scale of it sucked, fair, good, very good, and excellent. The new Planet of the Apes film movie was good. This this gets the Drew Stone rating of very good. This was really good. You know, this was very good.
Yeah, I think it just, you know what? I mean, and the amazing thing that I find so awesome is, I mean, Mad Max came out in like 79 or something.
Bro, John, I'm telling you, in London, go see this film. It's very. I'm telling you, it's very good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the fact is, it's the same director from day
Yeah.
one. You know, he's really kept the vision.
Yep.
It's just
it's George Miller.
Stunning. It's just, and you know what I love? I love that all the vehicles are real.
Yeah, it's fucking. Yeah.
Everything they make is drivable. You know.
Yeah. Yep.
It must have been a blast, like creating all that stuff.
It was really good. I really enjoyed it. Listen, you know, the female unit and I, you know, there's a theater 2 blocks from here. The seats, you know, go back. We go early. You know, the theater's like pretty empty. You know, we just fucking sprawl out. Second row. It's like, you know, it's really, this was very, if you are a science fiction lover, like I am, and like the hardcore Shutterbug is, you will really enjoy this movie. It's very good.
Oh, yeah. And a lot of people have to realize how close these movies are to you, because anyone who knows their Drew Stone history, The High and the Mighty,
that's right,
is very Road Warrior themed. You know,
we have the song Road Warrior, right?
The Road Warrior, and there was always Road Warrior images on the flyers and stuff.
Always. Road Warrior imagery was a big part of The High and the Mighty.
You know, which is pretty cool that you now have a new band and a new movie that they're kind of following the trail.
You know what else? Yo, James G. Warrior says it's cool because it's like his main thing, meaning George Miller. It's like his baby. He's not really known for anything else. He owns it. You know what else? You know what else he directed? Hold on. I got to get the poster. And this is like really weird. Like, George Miller directed this, and it was fucking great. Oh fuck, this is all right.
The Notebook.
It's a little small. It's small. I just had to download it. George Miller directed. I think he did 2 of them. He directed Babe, the pig movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that was a big movie.
Yeah, he directed that. Yep, George Miller. Yep.
Wow.
He also directed Happy Feet, the animated Penguin film Happy Feet. He directed that too.
So he's got a soft side. Okay.
Fucking ride across the wasteland, rape, kill, you know.
But save the pigs.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I have to say it's pretty cool.
No, RS. It wasn't a CGI movie to the max. The thing about what George Miller does is a lot of the car chase stuff. A lot of it is done. It's their real car chases done in real time. You know?
Yeah, I mean, it's out in the Australian wasteland there, you know? I mean,
just walk away.
See, that's the thing. Like, I feel like this movie is since Road Warrior, this has notable villains and everything. And it really was they did a beautiful job. It's so, and you got to see it on the big screen. You know, you definitely want to see it in the theaters.
You want to see a cool shot? So here's some Road Warrior imagery, right? Everybody knows this image from the film Road Warrior, right? Boom. Okay. And this was the cover of The High and the Mighty, our demo, and like we were big on this imagery. Here is a shot of me and the actor who played that. Astoria Lou took this shot at I think it was Monster Mania or whatever. We have a mutual friend. We have a mutual friend that used to man. That's right. He was in Weird. Well, hi, Whitney.
He was in Commando as well with Schwarzenegger.
But you know what? But you know what was really cool? Why is his name escaping me? The actor who is the actor that played Wes in Road Warrior? The great thing about Weird Science is he's actually in the same Road Warrior getup. He's actually that character.
That was a great scene.
Why am I not remembering his fucking name? And
2 unpopular dicks like you is having a party.
Yep.
He was. I mean, that character was so great. I mean,
Yes,
between
Vernon.
Rez and
That's
Fungus
right.
and
That's right. Vernon. Vernon. Not Vernon. The fuck's
Vernon Wells.
Vernon Wells. That's
Yeah.
right. There you
Yes.
go. Yep. Yeah, he
So
busts. He busts
Yep.
up the party in Weird Science. Weird Science is a great film.
oh, that's a great one.
Weird
And
Science
wasn't
is fucking great.
Michael Berryman with him in that scene as well?
Yeah, I think so.
The
Is that right? He was the villain in Inner Space? I didn't know. What's up, Brian? Big shout out going out right here to Brian Matson, who fucking rolled up his sleeves and came down. You think that park show in Tompkins Square Park was great? Part of the reason that it was great was because of Brian Matson, because he came down and he fucking with no attitude and he helped us build the stage and do the whole shit. Everybody likes free, but free's not really free. Let me tell you.
That's right.
Speaking of
so I gotta
I'll
tell
make
you,
it fucking rain in here. Go ahead.
between the pre-show when you say I got to start the show and your intro, I opened up my mail and my friend went to he must have gone to a memorabilia thing and just sent me this signed by all the boys.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is awesome because I'm a big fan of the boys and the Garth Ennis books and everything.
You know what, bro? That second season was weak, man. Or was it the third season?
I disagree.
Bro, you're insane. You think every Planet of the Apes movie is like every Godzilla movie is amazing.
No.
You're like Matt Gray. You're like Matt Gray with the freaking Star Wars films. Let me tell you something about You want me to tell you something about the Star Wars films? They suck.
No. You know, I have very particular opinions
Bro,
on
those Star Wars films suck.
I'm not talking Star Wars.
I know, but it's like these fucking Star Wars people, like, it's just not a good movie. I'm sorry to tell you, but they're like, it was amazing. It's like people that love the Grateful Dead, right? It's like people that this whole Dead and Company thing. Let me tell you something about the Dead and Company, right? Right. Here's a dude that saw the Grateful Dead a bunch of times. Let me tell you something about the Grateful Dead and Company with John Mayer. They suck. All right.
Well, there's only one Planet of the Apes movie we don't speak of. And that's that awful Tim Burton movie. So the rest of it, I'm good with. So.
Yeah.
And I got my eyes on the mailbox for that conspiracy book you turned me on to.
This is how you do it. Shout out to Rich Zola, who's watching in traffic. You know what I'm saying? Listen, respect. Everybody, listen, you know what? Everybody that's out there driving, right on. Because that's how you should do it. You should drive and watch the show at the same time.
Rich Zola, by the way, I got to shout out. Rich Zola, Tim Daly, and myself all got pictures in the new Dead Blow Hammer album I just saw.
Is that right?
Very cool stuff,
Is that right? You're in the school pickup line. Okay. Fair enough. Buick City. You know what? Listen, he's in the car. That's right. I'm straight up shouting everybody out that's watching the show in the car while they're driving.
Oh, man.
Good for you, Buick City Films. Good for you. All right, listen. Where are you going? You're going to come back later in the show? Or
I'll be here. I'm here.
You're going to mow the lawn.
No, I'm here. I didn't no mowing the lawn today.
Hey, what was that great dice line? Hey, bend over. I'll mow the lawn.
Oh, man. Nah,
bend over. I'll mow the lawn.
I'm excited for this. I got a chance to meet Kevin at Generation Records a while back. Right. I got this book. It's a beautiful book. So this is going to be a fun one. I'm glad we finally got him.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. Me too. We're going to have some fun. I love doing shows like this.
Yep.
All right. I'll see you later.
I'll see you later.
All right. There you have it. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. And we are sponsored by New York Hardcore Comics, The Organic Grill, DTFM Vinyl Distro, Generation Records, 126 Hardcore Clothing, Mad Vintage, and my friends and yours, the Texas Silver Rush. They're a jewelry design firm and boutique store located in the birthplace of the Texas country music scene in Fredericksburg, Texas. They specialize and work with musicians in all music genres to design and create unique one-off pieces, as well as to style them for stage, album covers, promo photos, and social media exposure. Their client list includes Rock and Roll Hall of Famers Greg Rowley, Ringo Starr, and of course, Agnostic Front. Information and online sales are being taken at their Facebook page and Instagram page, and of course, www.thetexassilverrush.com. That said, let's bring our guest on. Let's clear the deck. Everything seems okay in the chat room. No human sacrifices. Nothing going on. Okay. Here we go. Today's guest is an American photographer hailing from the Golden State of California. He is known for his documentation of the early 1980s burgeoning Southern California punk and hardcore scene, which you and I are big fans of. His subjects included Black Flag, The Descendants, Minor Threat, Misfits, and many, many others. Here today to talk to us about his book, Punk, Photos from a Fan's Perspective, please welcome, coming at us from lovely Manhattan Beach, California, Mr. Kevin Salk. Hey, man.
Hey, everybody.
How are you, buddy?
Thrilled to be here.
How's things in Manhattan Beach?
Right now, I can see the ocean, and it's sunny out, so it doesn't suck.
Is Manhattan Beach, is it next to Hermosa Beach?
Yes.
As we all know, the home of Black Flag.
You are correct. The church location's gone, but it's still,
Right.
Unfortunately, I never went there. I was a little bit before my time. I'm not sure if 15-year-olds were really welcome there.
Right. Yeah.
But it's a great place to grow up, great place to raise my kids, great place to get divorced, and great place to still live.
I once went on a pilgrimage, I think in like 1982 to Hermosa, to like, this is where Black Flag's from. And we like went there, like, I don't know what we were expecting to see, but it was really, there was like nothing like, oh, that's the church. Wow. It wasn't like, there was a central like meeting point, or at least we didn't know where it was,
There's nothing there.
Yeah.
It's just more facades. And but Black Flag used to actually live in Redondo Beach.
Right.
And as a high schooler who was very shy, very alienated, and I ended up befriending the band by being somewhat of a stalker, driving my shitty Honda Accord to SST headquarters and kind of walking back and forth until someone opened the door and noticed me. And I can even say Henry and I went running in Hermosa Beach on the Strand one afternoon. So it was, and fortunately I had my camera then. So, but that was a good story of being a teenage, I guess, fanboy.
Is that the day you shot? Is that the Henry tattoos? Was that shot
Yes.
that day?
Yeah.
I have that somewhere, don't I? Yeah. Yeah. Let me find that. That's.
I had my man crush on Henry.
Yeah. Where's the Henry tattoo? I have that shot. I want to find that shot. Hold on. See where that is. That's a good one, man. Let me see if I can find it. Or I might have to come back to it. I did see it. I don't know what I did with it. All right. That said, I'll find it. How did you come up? Did you grow up in a musical household? How did photography and music come into your life?
I mean, I came up in, typical, two other siblings, parents married, surfed, did the whole thing as a young kid in Manhattan Beach. My mom was a musician, and both my parents loved music, so music was always around. My dad tried to play the cello, but that was just still a bad idea. But it just, things were idyllic. We spent a total of 14 months living in a VW bus camper in Europe, so I had a really neat childhood. And until I was about 9 and the shit hit the fan and my parents got divorced.
Mm-hmm.
So that being the only one of the handful of Jewish families in Manhattan Beach, which is nice lily white Christian beach town, to then being a Jewish family who's divorced, that became pretty much a party of one. And so, as I say in my book, it sowed the seeds of my anger and alienation. And the anger was not outward going. I was too scared to get into fights.
You were an only child?
No, I have a older brother and older sister, and
So you're the youngest.
I'm the youngest. And
how old were you when your parents divorced?
I think I was 9.
So
9 or 10.
interestingly enough, you and I are the same age. My parents were. I am the oldest of 3, like you, and my parents divorced when I was 9.
Yeah, it fucked me up badly.
It fucked me up too.
But it was an internal anger where what drew me. I mean, fast forward from that, it was grammar school, junior high school. Lots of weed, lots of drugs, lots of drinking, but the punk rock scene just kind of it just made sense. One of my high school friends, who I'm still very good friends with today, was the one who I think kind of got me into it. Even though I'm angry.
What was the first live music that you went out kind of and saw as a young person?
It was 1980. It was the Clash at the Santa Monica Civic, and it wasn't. It was. I wish I had a better memory. I do know it was really loud, but that was a place where it kind of started my love of the music, because for me, it's all about the music.
Mm-hmm.
And what was attractive to it was the violence of the music was kind of brought me peace, as kind of bizarre as that sounds.
Mm-hmm.
The whole violence of the scene, being an observer, but not being a participant, worked for me. And I just loved the music. I loved the scene. It was a place where odd people could get together with other odd people and have this common bond, which was the love of the music. And it took over my life. I loved everything about it. I drove my parents insane. My other siblings didn't understand, and but it was a perfect fit for someone like me. And I kind of became a collector of all things punk rock, from 45s to albums to flyers to little things. And there was a record store in Long Beach.
Is that Zed Records?
Yes. And my mom would drive me down there with my allowance, and me and my buddies would go and buy 45s for $1.50. I mean, it was black. There was something about it. It hit all the buttons for me.
Mm-hmm.
And we would go back to my house and just blast them on my record player. And it was just fun. I mean,
what was the first stuff that really spoke to you locally, and you felt that was like locally connected to you? Like, these are my guys.
I mean, I think it was probably Black Flag. I mean, they were local. They were a local band. They just epitomized everything that was perfect about punk rock. The music was crazy fast.
Sure.
It was violent. Their shows were violent. And I could just fit in with their other fans. And then there were some other bands. Fletcher Draghi from Pennywise had a band called Con 800 that they played at a party. And as soon as they started, a keg went through the window and the house was basically destroyed.
Hey, a quick question. RS70 asks, Black Flag, when you first started going, who was singing then?
Dez. I got into the scene probably right after Ron Reyes left the band. And so I saw a lot of gigs with Dez, and he was awesome.
Yeah, huh?
And just had a throaty, gnarly voice. And it was just,
Yeah.
it was heaven. It was perfect.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I never saw Black Flag with Dez. I missed it by a minute, and then just because I'm on the East Coast, right? And as soon as Henry joined, I ended up seeing them a lot. Right when he joined that first go round. But I never got to see them with Dez, unfortunately.
The regrets or the I wish
Mm.
of this or that, it's something that haunts me. But Dez was just, and the funny thing is that at SST headquarters, he slept under a desk. That was his bedroom.
Wow.
Because it was basically like a small office, and they all stayed there. It was disgusting, but that's where they made their magic, and where they really did what they did. And when Henry came along, I just had my mind blown. I mean, I'm pretty sure I was at the first show at the Cuckoo's Nest that he played at, and to me, in looking back, there was not a more intense presence on the stage than Henry anywhere, any music. I think he had a presence, and the band brought an energy that will never be repeated. It was just something I was very fortunate to be around it, and I consider myself just very lucky. And this whole experience has changed my life and changed it for the better.
So you went to Miracosta, right?
Yes, that's alma mater of Keith Morris.
Mm-hmm.
I used to see Bill Stevenson walking around campus in a blanket, and he smelled like fish because he fished all night. Milo was there. He ran cross country, so he was more of a jock, but a running jock. And Dez, this was before me. Dez, he said he was there for I think a semester, and then he was politely asked to leave.
That's great. When you were how did you get into photography? Was it through school? Was it like a class? Like how did it kind of come into your orbit?
It's a good question. I think, I always tried to have the most flyers of all my friends, and my room at my dad's house was just covered with flyers. And the big magazine, the big fanzine was Flipside.
Sure.
And I religiously collected it, and you saw amazing photos from Glenn, from Ed, from Allison, and I don't really have a good answer as to why. I think I just wanted to maybe be like them, and I started with a point and shoot camera, which served me well for some photos, but then I was able to graduate to a 35 millimeter, and that changed the game. But what really helped in this photography class was learning about developing film, because I made a darkroom in my dad's bathroom in my house. So it was a little bathroom that was my bathroom, and I made a darkroom, and just that experience of taking a photo and then seeing it show up onto printing paper was magic. Absolute magic.
Absolutely. Those were the days when you actually had to think and compose the photos that you took, and it wasn't just and then look into the view. You have to really think things through and compose a shot, because film costs money, developing took time. It was a fucking process.
It was, that's why I look at gigs that I shot, and it's like, why didn't I shoot these bands? It's like, well, I didn't have film. But for me, it was just, I didn't really compose. I just shot. I was just there. And I guess that's something that people say I have a good eye. But it was really more just being there. And it also helped because I could get into gigs for free. And it was a good safety net because people would protect me.
Yeah, I meant to ask, before we start doing show and tell a little bit, who are you close with in that scene? I mean, what were there any band members, or because and what I'm getting at, which is like, was it? I mean, I know the answer, but was it a violent scene? Was it sort of for a young person? Was it scary? And like, who'd you click up with?
It was fucking terrifying. I saw some
Mm.
shit where people just, when someone with long hair came into a gig, they didn't go out vertical. They would come out horizontal and bloody. But we had a crew in Manhattan Beach, and these were friends of mine that I've known since kindergarten. And then we had some kids that were a year older than me, but I had some tough people. And then there was the late Bob Leader, who spent more time in incarceration than living, and just a very bad life, but scariest individual I've ever met in my life. And he protected us.
Mm.
So when you had him by your side, you knew you were safe, because he just liked to fight. He liked violence, and he was a violent person, but he did care about us, and we cared about him. And it was just nice to have someone like that. But the shows, I mean, the things I saw, I mean, most of the things that I remember are the trauma or the just the scary things. And
Sure.
we talked earlier about when the late Durf Scratch of Fear, got his face caved in at the Stardust Ballroom. I mean, shit went down that night.
That didn't happen during an actual while they were playing, right?
No, I think it was after. And then he goes up on stage, and I can visualize it to this day, is looking for the people who beat the shit out of him.
Right.
And the stuff outside, I learned how to run and got pretty good at running away from the police.
Right.
But I was always scared, and it just wasn't in my nature to be a bottle thrower or a instigator of fights, because I would have gotten the shit kicked out of me.
Mm-hmm.
But I was just part of the scene. And just, it was so many people when you're walking down Sunset Boulevard, and everyone's in motorcycle boots and leather jackets. It was a very cool feeling to be part of that, and especially for being insecure and scared, and it soothed the inner anger. It was my potion that just helped me live. And then photography was just, I didn't realize it until later in life how fortunate I was, and I guess how smart I was to save everything. But the key thing is be around big people who can protect you.
Yeah. So let's now, chronologically, I think I might be a little off here, but let's do a little show and tell, and now let's look at some photos. Now, I know you mentioned going to school with Bill and with Milo, right? This is an early Descendants show.
This was in 1983. I think it was January of 83 at a place called Mi Casita, which was I'm not sure exactly what it is. It's not there anymore, but this is one of my shots that is, I guess, considered, in quotes, one of my iconic shots. Yeah. But and at a show a couple years ago up in when I took my youngest daughter, to see the Descendants at the UC Theater in Berkeley, I brought Milo I bought him a Bad Brain shirt to wear at the show, because it's such an iconic shirt. But this was one of the shows where I got my best photos. But this was when I was starting to get I guess, better at it. But like I said, it was just right place, right time.
Right. And here is another one from that show. If it will pop up. There you go.
I call this one the Scream, and I don't. Again, right place. Didn't even know, but it's Milo yelling, the guy yelling, and it's Waddy yelling. So it's like a 3 mic yell. And
Yeah.
again, I love this shot. And I guess the guy in the exploited T-shirt, it's fun when people come out and say, "Oh, that was my friend,"
Yeah.
or that's my late friend.
Of
And
course. Yeah.
it makes you feel good. I mean, world's in a shithole right now, and to
Mhm.
be able to bring people back to some of the best times of our lives through photography is really gratifying. And it's because if I can't have fun, then why be here?
Yeah. Were the Descendants great early on?
Oh yeah, I mean, Bill to me is still one of the best. Is still one of the best drummers. He used a very thick snare drum,
Right.
and I just love the way that he played. I mean, he hammered the skins, and this is when Frank Navetta was alive, and they were awesome. They were fun, and they weren't hardcore, but they were fun core, I
Right.
guess you could say.
Now, this is sort of another one of your iconic shots. What's going on here?
Good question. This was up in Santa Barbara. This one's January 21st of 1983. It was the Circle Jerks were headlining, and the Misfits also played. It was one of their first shows in LA. And I mean, there's some people in the background. You can see Gary Tovar in the far back from Golden Voice
Oh wow!
with
Well,
the mustache.
I mean, that's Greg Hedson right behind him playing guitar, of course.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
asked Keith about this, and I think his comment was it was definitely drug induced. But here's another one, just right place at the right time. And
Yeah.
it wasn't like you said, I couldn't fire off 50 photos of this. This was one shot. And yeah, I'm I got lucky.
Yeah. Yeah. It's now you mentioned which Misfit show was this?
This was the one they had played twice. The first one, which was one of the scariest nights of my
Well,
life, was
before we go there, so this is the Santa Monica one.
no, this is the one up in Goleta, which is just north of Santa Barbara. So it's the Goleta Valley Community Center.
So
And
does that match with this now? Is this the same show as this?
yes,
Well, this is a great shot, bro.
thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
That one,
I love, being an old sort of Misfits fan and having known those guys, a very long time. Like I said, when I joined Antidote, Arthur Googie was playing drums, and we used to rehearse at Jerry and Doyle's parents. And I've known these guys a long time. This is a great shot. I love this shot. Any perspective on this you can lend us?
no, I was just, again, good place to be on the stage. And that's where, again, having the camera helped me get to places. But no, the only thing is this shot we did a charity event with Rock Against Racism, and Jerry signed some shots, and we raised some good money, which is one of the things that I'm trying to do with my photographs is they've given me so much, is I want to be able to use them to give back to a band's charity. That's Glenn. And again, just it's fun to see the people's expressions, but
Yeah.
that's what it was like back then. I mean, this is it isn't this circle pit thing, which I still can't figure out what the hell it does and what the purpose is. I would get motion sickness running around in circles, but Yeah, these are. I love these shots, and I love looking at them.
Did you, when you shot this stuff, was there, did you shoot like a whole roll, or was it just like, hey, there was a couple misfit shots, a couple circle jerk shots? Were you, how did you sort of approach it?
I shot a whole roll. I mean, I had a roll of circle jerks and a roll of the misfits. And the thing that sucks is there's some that don't exist. They are gone, or the chemicals just over time. I mean, this was back in 1983, so that's what, 41 years ago.
Sure.
But there really wasn't a plan. I mean,
Right.
it was just make sure you get there and bullshit my way into getting on stage or sneaking on stage. And, but it was still the music. That, to me, I wasn't there as a photographer. I was there as a fan. I was there. I loved the music and everything. I loved the scene. And just the camera was just kind of icing on the cake, I guess.
Yeah. I quote you, my friend, bringing a camera to a gig had its distinct advantages. Getting into shows free, getting on the stage and backstage where the bands hung out, definitely safer than being in the slam pit. And, I guess that kind of plays into just, that was a very violent era in that California scene.
It was, especially down in the South Bay. If
Yeah.
you go down to the Cuckoo's Nest,
Yeah.
that place was scary because they didn't like South Bay. So
Right.
there was kind of not a gang element, but definitely a violent rivalry. And the guys down in Huntington Beach in that area, no offense to anyone who's from Huntington Beach, but there was just a significant amount of shitheads down there who
Jack Grisham
who liked to fight. And I mean, Jack was and still is a very interesting personality. I remember at a show at Godzilla's where some girl got stripped naked and thrown up on stage during a TSOL show. So, I mean, their shows, them, China White,
right,
they had their following. And I'd go down to the Cuckoo's Nest and be very, very scared.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, the violence of the shows, I mean, the riots, the Basie's Hall, the Whiskey A Go-Go riot was the one that really was the most epic one, where it, sorry for the noise outside, but they, and Des tells the story, they would always play two shows. There'd be a show for the early show, and then there'd be a later show. And the first show with DOA as the first band, it was DOA, Black Flag, DOA. I still have the original flyer. And I'm again a huge fan of Raymond Pettibone. But the first show was so violent that they canceled the second show. And there was hundreds of punks next to the whiskey, all drinking. And as we were leaving, it just rained bottles. And they closed Sunset Boulevard. There was probably 50 cop cars. I'm not sure if there were billy clubs, but I'm sure there were. But it was, Des said that he was looking outside and he saw a kid who was about to throw a beer bottle, and he said, "It's going down. It's going down big time." And it made all the news. And of course, my parents watched the news, and they weren't too pleased with what their son was doing.
Speaking of Black Flag, I have a couple of different shows. I'm trying to figure out which one makes the most sense. But this show here, let's go with this one. I think this might be a little bit later in your tenure, but these shots always like kind of blew my mind because looking into it, this was Black Flag playing on the steps of the Federal Building. Is that right?
So this is in Westwood. And the funny thing is my office is just down the street. So I drive by this location every single day. So this was a July 4th, 1983 gig where it was a legalized weed show that Chuck Dukowski, I later learned, was able to get them and his band Worm to be involved. And so it was a perfect summer day. And, there was not many photographers there. I know I have a shot of Glenn Friedman taking a shot of Bill Stevenson, and it's in his current book. But this one, again, I didn't plan anything, but it represented so much of that time with the American flag, the come to where the flavor is, and then the gondola operator on the right with the funky t-shirt. But I wish I remembered this show. I've walked over there to exactly where Henry is kneeling, and nothing comes back. But yeah. It's one of my more it's one of my favorite shots that I've taken.
And I love how it's composed. I love the Marlboro Man. It is so. I just love the composure, the American flag, the Marlboro Man, the building that says Medical Plaza in the back, and the dude on the right with the striped shirt. Like, it's like, what is that?
That's the $1 million question. What the hell was he wearing? But it was just, it just was. Also, it helped to have good lighting because it was sunny out.
Right. Absolutely. And then there you go. That's a big one in that era, because, a lot of the shots indoors, you needed to have a good flash for it. And this is like outside on a beautiful sunny day. Always love this shot. Greg Ginn from Black Flag wearing the Grateful Dead shirt. Of course, those guys love the Grateful Dead. And, I actually saw Greg Ginn at a Grateful Dead show out there around the same time, but this is a great one that always sort of perplexed. It's like, huh? Black Flag, Grateful Dead, huh?
It's great. I have a number of shots of him, and funny thing is this shot is going into a book that it's not my book, but it's the people that started making the Grateful Dead T-shirts. I think they were called Ceramic or something. So I got a email from their studio, and pretty cool. It's very exciting. It does with my kids. It's nice to have. Well, my dad's cool.
Yeah, it comes around. First you're cool, then you're not cool. Then eventually they get older and you're kind of cool again. So that said, while we're on the Black Flag tip, let's delve into it a bit. Great shot. I see Black Flag roadie Mugger up front. This looks like about the same time, maybe a little later. But,
summer of 80. I mean, you can look at by the hair length. So it was in the summer of 83. And if you know Jordan Schwartz, who's a photographer, you can see him on the upper right, just kind of peering in. But again, another shot where, right place, and just, again, I wish I could tell you more, and I'm not trying. It's just, I wish I had a better answer, but another one of my favorite shots.
Is this the same show? Now this is the lineup I first saw. This is Henry, Greg Ginn, Dez on second guitar, Dukowski, and Bill Stevenson. This is the lineup I saw many, many times.
Yeah, this was also at the Vex. And at that time, Henry, this was during his Speedo phase. So I don't know what the fuck he's wearing here, but it was something dirty. And I just love that it shows what the clubs were like. I mean, they were shitholes in the middle of some really bad areas, but you had that intimacy.
Yeah.
And that's what I miss today. I'd much rather see a band in a small club where
Absolutely.
you get that, you can feel the music. One thing it did help to be a little taller than a lot of people, and I'm 6'1" now. I'm not sure how tall I was back then, but height definitely has its advantages when you're shooting photos.
Here's another one from that. I mean, it's not it's a cool shot. I never saw it before you sent it to me today, but here's another one from that outdoor shot.
Yeah,
Guys,
that's
kind of just, you know.
I mean, there's dude in the glasses and there's dude with the stash,
Yeah.
and I can just see, especially the guy on the right, just laughing at just everything. But it's representative of the times. It's the short shorts, and just again being able to capture that moment was yes, very, very special.
Yeah, it's and then the last black flag thing, the last black flag shot, another great one, which is like you said, you could sort of gauge it by the hair, right? Is a little later.
This was actually earlier, so this would have been before those shows. And if you say what were you thinking, I wasn't. I was just shooting, and this wasn't a shot that was far away, so I didn't have to. It wasn't cropped. It was. I guess I was right there, and I think people look at this as one of the more iconic shots. I mean, I get kind of a bit embarrassed by that, but it's just I was there, and I'm thrilled that I was able to capture it.
I love the hand. It's like, oh.
I mean, it's kind of like you saw a lot of fingers. It's like when you saw Fear play. I've never seen so much spit being. It's actually kind of gross.
Yeah.
But this just epitomized, I think, Henry and the intensity he brought, and he brought it every single night.
Yeah, those, like I said, when Henry Rollins joined Black Flag and Damaged came out, it was that first year was incredibly explosive. They were incredibly live. We went and saw them. Them, Bad Brains, Misfits, Minor Threat. We went and saw any chance we could. We loved.
And they toured. I mean, they what's great about it is they loved to tour, and some of the stories of Mugger is in my book, and he told some stories. I did have to edit some or keep some things out, but they had they wanted to tour. They wanted to bring their music everywhere, and not a glamorous lifestyle with a bunch of smelly guys in a van.
Is that right, Aldeo? I got to check that out. Corporate Rock Sucks audiobook talks about Black Flag and their Grateful Dead thing. I'd like to hear that. I got to track that down.
Jim Ruland is the author. He lives down. He's LA based, and you can see it. It's a really interesting book. And I mean, I can't shoot Black Flag now. I won't. Just out of principle, because of what happened and the way things, the litigious nature.
Yeah. Well, Rick Bruss says the only lineup I saw was with Ginn and Mike Vallely singing, so not really Black Flag at all.
Yeah, I just can't do it.
Yeah.
I'll see them, but I'm not going to shoot photos.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk about. Let's get into this for a bit, and then we'll take a sponsor break. But this infamous show that took place in, I believe, was it Watts?
South Central Los Angeles. This I believe.
So this is the Misfits playing South Central.
This was the 61st Street Crips, I believe, and I think everyone who went thought they were not going to make it home. And the place is still there. It's above a liquor store, but when you mix punk rock, angel dust, gangbangers, knives, guns, something bad's going to happen. And everyone's cars got broken into. I think a girl was raped. I mean, just some bad shit went down. And some great stories in the book, because Earl Liberty, or Mark Vidal, aka Earl Liberty, was the roadie for the Misfits, and he has some great stories. And you can see Henry in the background with his bandana in the back of the photo. But you know, it was like, just, we need to get the fuck out of here or we're all going to die.
Wow. And what sort of venue was this? Was this like, was this a VFW hall? What was this?
Almost. It was above a liquor store. I understand they had gigs before. You know, this was, I mean, the only social media we had back then were flyers.
That's right.
And that's how we learned about shows. But to this day, I have no idea as to why they would do that. And I do know that Mark tells the story, or Earl tells the story, about when things were going down and the band was the Misfits were trying to get out of Dodge. They had some like prop weapons from like the spikes on a ball, and they were like rolling them around or throwing them around just to kind of diffuse the situation. And I think they just packed the van and then just got the fuck out of there. But it just made no sense, and you knew something bad was going to happen, and it did. So the safest place was to be inside.
Yeah.
So you can see out in the background here, this was from the Goleta Valley Community Center, but you can see Allison Braun in the background.
Oh, this is a different venue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so that's Allison. Oh, that right. So that's Allison in the background. Right. I know. You're right. We had Allison on the show. We know her photos. Yeah.
She's awesome.
Yeah, she's great. Yeah. So you shot the Misfits a couple of times.
Yeah, I mean, the first one, the ones from South Central, was still in my point and shoot phase.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next one is when I got better at using a normal camera. This is one so here's the story with this one. The negative was gone. I couldn't find it. And maybe 6 months ago, I emptied a storage facility and went to just shred a bunch of old tax returns and documents. And literally, as this folder was about to go into the trash can that was locked, I saw this. It was an envelope from a camera store, and I looked in and I saw that shot, and I'm like, "Fuck me."
Was that Sammy's camera?
No, it was Bel Air camera in Westwood.
Okay.
But I could not believe, because I remember going up to Doyle, because he's a year older than me.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, I remember just, and again, it's strange what you remember, but it was, I don't think I said sir, but I just said, can I take a photo of your tattoo? And I think he just grunted. And it turns out to be, again, another one of my favorites. It's such an epic tattoo. And then I also shot one of Jerry's tattoos, but that one was perfect.
Right. I have. Oh, here's my last Misfits from Bob's place. I mean, this shit looks wild, man. I mean,
I did take photos of the Necros.
There you go.
You can see Jay Bentley from Bad Religion
up front there,
in the front with the little white, the bleach part, and then Marla Watson, who's another photographer. You can see her on the right.
Yeah,
but someone has a video camera. You can see there's a video camera, and I think there's a video out on YouTube. But
wow.
You know, this was, you could say like a VFW hall with, I mean, there was no lighting, there was no backstage. It was, this was when it was raw and real. And, again, we do miss that, not the romance, but just the authenticity. And it's
Yeah.
so different nowadays with photo passes and this and that. That's what was when it was just, that was the time. And we're lucky, and I think very fortunate to be able to participate in that. And I'm thankful every single day.
I must say, my friend, it's different for you, because for a new generation of kids coming up today, they have their own world and their own thing and their own basement parties and their own DIY shows. We, being sort of a little bit older, are a little bit disconnected from that, from sort of that really young scene. But it's out here. It's here in New York as well. There's bands here in New York that would never play some sort of a club that would ask for, like, it's inconceivable. So, we've talked about this many times. It's just this sort of cyclical thing that comes around and around. The bands that we saw back then are huge bands now that are playing No Values and this and that. But there's always some young kids coming up, and it's out there. Let me ask you. I don't know who this is. Is this?
Well, this is Alec. This is Ian's brother.
That's what I thought it was, but I was like, when would Faith be out there?
This was at the Wilson Center. So when I was 16 years old, and you can see Brian Baker in the far back with the plaid shirt.
Right.
I had due to my relationship with Henry, who I just became friends with by, maybe he took pity on me because I was just wanting to be around him.
Mm-hmm.
He connected me. I sent a letter to Ian because the thing is, Black Flag was going to be playing in Washington, D.C., and I wanted to go see them there. And unfortunately, I didn't know this until after I got there. Henry had blown out his knee in Montreal, and they had to cancel the rest of their tour. This was in September of '82.
Mm-hmm.
So and here's the crazy thing is Ian has the letters. He has every correspondence that someone sent him. And when I was visiting him there a couple of years ago, just to see these letters just floored me. But I asked if I could stay at Discord House, and they were like, fine. So my parents, my mom, and they were divorced, they were divorced at the time, said, okay. Because I used to fly free because of my mom's former husband, and went to DC, and
at 16 years old.
At 16, and just did some sightseeing because it's a great place to go visit. And I remember going to like the Smithsonian with some board shorts, a t-shirt, and Vans high tops, and stayed with the band for I think 3 or 4, probably 3 days. Had so much. All we did was there was the right next door to was 7-Eleven. So that was your place. You go there for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and slam Coca-Cola the entire day. And I was very fortunate to see them rehearse in their basement, and saw them not at the 930 Club or the Wilson Center, because the Effigies, I think they became the headline band when Black Flag had to cancel. But it was Iron Cross, Faith, Effigies, and it was just cool. And that was, again, how I got away with it. But and then, unbeknownst to me, because again, and I wasn't doing drugs, I wasn't drinking. I kind of adopted that straight edge mentality of just no drugs, no alcohol. I remember going to Baltimore to see with them in their van to go see them play at I forget the name of it. It's a well-known club down in Baltimore. But then there's a photo of me sitting on and I should have sent it to you. It's me sitting on a car with Ian to my right, Henry's there, and a bunch of other people from DC. And it turns out it was of all places, Richmond, Virginia. And again, zero recollection. But they gave me a nice going away present when I left, which was they shaved my head. And with this head and this ears, it did not it looked like a dick with ears. It was kind of ridiculous. And
Some
Henry,
people, the head shaving thing doesn't work for everybody.
yeah, not for me. And but Ian still has the razor. It was a razor that he and Henry bought at a pet shop in Georgetown. But when I got home, my mother wouldn't talk to me for a month. She was so pissed, and my dad was just disgusted.
Yeah, listen, we say it many times. You know, when I shaved my head in 1981, the only people that were shaving their heads back then, you know, were you know, uh, military and psychopaths. There was no sort of like was Marines. It was Marines and friggin' mentally unstable people were shaving. That's Charles Manson. You know, like other than that, there was no reference point. But where are these minor threat pictures from?
That is from Cathay de Grande in Hollywood, which is
Okay, so
another.
this is back. This is back on the West Coast
Right. This was on their second tour in '83.
when they had when Steve Hanskin was playing bass.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And just tiny club. I mean, it wasn't even really a club. And got some shots of Ian that I'm, just thrilled with. And it was very cool when I went back to DC. He signed one of the shots, which I have on my wall, as just a kind of a neat little thing for my collection.
I love the shirt he's wearing, man.
Well, that was actually from a campaign from one of the motel chains. So if you stayed there, if you were under 18 or under, it was free.
Oh, I see. That's great.
It was the Ramada Inn.
That is great.
And this is from their first time in LA. This was in I think September of '82. I'm off with the dates. But they played at Dancing Waters and this was another scary night because you had, if you can see the guy right behind Ian, you had Samoan bouncers, and it was a big kind of Samoan area, and they did not like punks coming in. And so another kind of hairy night. And I think that's because someone mentioned Naomi Peterson. I believe that is her in the background taking a photo.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But the hand on the left is Henry's because you can tell by the tattoo. And there's a famous story that Ian got or Jay Adams, I think it was either Jay Adams, the skater, bit Ian, and then Ian turned around and punched him, and didn't realize who it was, and then at the end of their set was chasing him around trying to find him and say, "I'm sorry, you're my idol," because he was a big skater.
Yeah. Sure.
So this one just came out cool.
There's Rich on the right there, I believe, who we talked about when Steve Hanskin was just on the show. That's Rich, who sang for Rich Moore, who played drums in Double O, who went on to sing for Second Wind. He was a minor threat roadie.
Yeah, that's also the fun thing is people see their friends, or they see themselves, and that's just super cool.
Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah, and of course Brian Baker, who's a big supporter of this show. We love that guy. He's been on. He's just great.
That's the one thing that's neat of shooting the bands now, like Bad Religion, is these guys have been playing for 40 years.
Yeah, I got to shout. Yeah.
They're so good as musicians. They're so tight.
Got to shout out Brian Baker here because, he is still in the game, still playing, that guitar probably. He's what we call a lifer. He didn't come in and out of it and, went and, this guy's been in it his whole life. He's a career musician. One of the very few that came out of that scene has been a lifelong career musician.
And they're just good. I mean, their sets are so tight, and it looks like he's having fun. That's the one thing is they seem to really be enjoying themselves because, a lot of the guys, Jay Bentley's got young kids. They've had their ups and downs, and music is what makes him happy.
Yeah.
So the guy on the right with the hat, that's Louis Miorgia. He was the original bass player of
That's right.
Suicidal.
Suicidal. That's right. Wow. How fucking killer is that?
I showed him that photo and he just freaked out.
Yeah. That's great. Yes. You know what? You know what? Let me scratch this. Hey, Steven, I'm bringing you on a second, all right? Hey, buddy.
What's up?
Hey, you just sent me this great shot, and you know it's almost the companion to the other one, which is boom. There you go.
There he
Nice.
is
Yeah.
in the Bon Jovi shirt.
Yeah.
Perfect.
You know.
He's just, you know, when you talk about a solid guitar player,
Yeah.
Oh,
he's the definition of just solid.
he is. I mean, I make a point. Like I'm always on his side, like of the stage. I mean, he just is so legendary, and I love like everything he's doing now. He does his like 1 minute guitar things that he always does, and
Yeah, those are great. I love those.
he's
Yeah.
just, you know,
And he's always smiling when he's playing.
Let me ask you, Kevin. Did you in this era? Was it always black and white footage you shot?
I have color. This is I did have some color rolls. The Black Flag gig at the Federal Building, I have color shots.
Right.
I wish I had the negatives, but mostly because I couldn't develop color at home. So this was one that I developed in my homemade darkroom, and I'd have to go to the local drugstore to develop, or a camera store to develop the negatives of the color ones. But I love I love black and white. I think it in any form of photography, I think it makes your mind think differently because you have to kind of visualize things.
Sure.
But it's the work that people do nowadays, especially with the new technology and the new cameras. It's just amazing what you can do. But black and white, that I guess is my brand.
Right.
My partner says, don't post things in color. You're a black and white guy. And
yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. It's what you're known for. Steven, any take on black and white versus color?
well, you know what I think what, especially for hardcore and punk, I think it really, the black and white brings out a certain grittiness that the accompanies the music. Every now and then you'll see a band where color, like the color jumps out a little bit, but I find the black and white specifically for this genre of music is more emotional, and I see it in his pictures. And I have to say, just listening to the show so far, what I feel in common with you is I started out super shy and kind of like lived through the camera, and I started meeting bands the same way, where I didn't develop my own film, but I worked in a 1 hour photo. And so I would always make prints, and I would go up and bring them prints from the show before and kind of hand them 2 5x7s and walk away until they finally were like, hey, come back here, you know, like, and I started making friends like through the camera. And I just see I feel like I have a lot in common. Like I really feel like you definitely speak the same language, and your work, you know, I see in the faces, and it's just like, I could see you know, kind of visualize your world through that, you know?
I used to make Xerox copies for my friends, and I also give them to bands. I give them to mainly the Black Flag, and one of the gigs that turned out to be one of their more epic riots was at Basie's Hall, and I was not, I don't think I went. I think my friends went, but it was they gave me a whole stack of flyers, and me and my buddies went, and just every telephone pole, every place we could glue it. We went around my high school at night and just taped them and glued them everywhere. And I still have a big stack of them, but it was fun being that. I mean, again, I guess I could say I was hardcore in the dark or when people didn't see me.
Hey, fellas, I got to take a sponsor break. And Stephen, hang in. I'll pull you back on towards the end, all right?
You got it.
Kevin, let me take a sponsor break. I got to chat with a couple sponsors, be like 10, 15 minutes. We'll come back. Let's talk about the book and let's talk about, what you've been shooting in the past couple years and what you're doing in the future, okay?
Do I have time to take a leak?
I wish I did. Yeah, you absolutely
Great.
do. You got 10, 15 minutes.
Perfect.
There you go. It's the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. Our guest today is photographer Kevin Salk. We're going to do a little something different today at our sponsor break. We're going to bring on a couple of our friends. We're going to light it up a little bit. First, my friend and yours, the one, the only, the incomparable from New York Hardcore Comics, Debo the Pro. Brother!
Yeah.
What's up?
What's good, fam? Slice?
How's things,
How's
man?
everything?
Good.
Respect to Kevin and the show. Thank you for having us on.
Yeah, absolutely. What's happening at New York Hardcore Comics? What's new? What's exciting?
Welcome to New York Hardcore Comics at 117 Main Street, Dobbs Ferry, New York. Peace, Zion. Say what up.
Yo, what's up?
Smooth B. Today, this week, Wolverine 50. Huge. Helverine. KRS-One. Johnny Ramones. KRS-One. An insane Ultimate Edition Cliff Burton. We're getting ready for Undiscovered Realm Comic-Con. Pardon me. That's what I got to do.
Hey, I'm
Peace
feeling
everything.
Let me see the KRS figurine. I'm feeling that.
Shit is hard.
Yo.
Knowledge reigns supreme. Nearly over everybody.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These are in stock and a lot more. Right here, brother.
Righto. Anybody you want to shout out?
I want to shout out you. Shout out everybody in the chat. Sponsors. Respect. Peace to Leroy. He can't be right now. Here right now. He's home with the babies. Zion, anybody you want to shout out? Your uncle.
My uncle.
Smooth B. Peace to the world. We love you. Thank you for everything. We're always eternally grateful.
Who's his uncle again?
You want something else to look at?
Ooh.
You want something else to look at?
Wow, you're keeping
I can
busy
do this
over there.
all day.
You're busy over there. All right,
I love
brother.
you very much, man.
I love you too, man. Thanks. Yo, I love you guys. Say hi to Lee for me. And you guys were the first ones on board with the show. I am internally in your debt. Thank you, bro.
Respect and honor.
I'll talk to you soon. There you have it. Debo the Pro, the one, the only. I want to mention, I want to bring another guest on talking about, let's talk about some upcoming events, right? This Sunday, June 2nd, 2 stages, 7 bands, brought to you by Heggs. It is the annual Rampage Fest. Here we go, Rampage Fest 6. Adrenaline OD, Silence Equals Death, Fire is Murder, Blackout Shoppers, Daija, Iconicide, No Compromise, free all ages Sunday matinee. Get up, get out, and make it happen. This is coming hot on the heels of the Tompkins Square Park show, which was, listen, sometimes you hit a home run, sometimes you hit an upper deck home run. And the show we just did last Sunday at Tompkins Square Park was an upper deck home run. This is coming in hot on the heels of the Tompkins Square Park show. This Sunday, we're going to continue the party. Come on down. Also, the Masato Okano banner exhibit, which was at C-Squat, which opened up last week right after the Tompkins show. The last 2 days are this Sunday, this Saturday and Sunday. So go down to C-Squat and check it out. It's really incredible. All the banners from the Back to the New York Hardcore Roots Series show are hung in C Squad. Come down Saturday 1 to 5, Sunday 1 to 9 at C Squad at 155 Avenue C. Soon after that, on Friday, 6/14, is the Eddie Leeway's Legacy Show at a Debonair Music Hall. Dog Eat Dog, Enrage. We're playing Incendiary Device, Robots and Monsters, Scarhead, etc. Come on down. And then a bit after that is, of course, the HR, a tribute to the music of the Bad Brains, benefit for HR at the Bowery Electric. Lots of people doing songs with the All-Star Band. Pete Stahl from Scream, Eugene Hutz from Go Go Bordello, Chaka from Orange 9mm, Ralphie G from The Mob, Ryan Bland from Ache. I'm doing a song. Incendiary Devices opening the show along with Ma'afa. Then the next night, another Eddie Leeway tribute show. This one absolutely banging. I'd like to bring the organizer of that show onto here from Blast Furnace podcast, Mr. Jimmy Ferrari. What's up, bro?
What's up, Drew? It's like an honor and a privilege. The first time I'm gracing your show.
There you go. I know we're not, at the level of the Blast Furnace.
Oh, settle down.
I appreciate you coming on to the show.
Yeah, anytime, man. As soon as you ask me, yeah, why not?
So
I feel like I see you all the time. There was like a little hiatus where I didn't see you, and you break my balls all the time. But now I feel like I see you every other day.
Well, you're back in the game now, and I'm respecting your hustle. Tell us about this show that you put together and what was behind it. Give us a little background on it.
All right. Well, I'll try to keep it brief. I met Eddie. First time I saw Leeway was in 1990 at L'Amour's, opening up for Suicidal Tendencies. They blew me away. I formally met Eddie in 92. Throughout the years, I mean, listen, Eddie had his issues. I had my issues. That's all public knowledge. But there would be certain time frames where me and Eddie, there would be like a year or two or a couple of years back and forth where we wouldn't have any connection or we really wouldn't speak because of life. But whenever I would get like a random text or there'd be a random phone call, and whenever I would see Eddie, it was always like love and respect. So I knew Eddie for a really long time, and as corny and as cliche as it might sound, but Leeway is the band that turned me from like a metalhead into a young hardcore kid. Mm-hmm. And it was really cool to become friends with Eddie, and we always supported each other's endeavors no matter what it was. So once, obviously, like I knew he went into hospice and everything, and then as well as some of the people that are watching that I booked probably about 30 different shows at Lucky 13. You played a couple of them yourself, Drew. And Eddie, Leeway NYHC played one of them, and that was kind of like a full circle moment for me. Like, I never in a million years thought that I would ever book Leeway or a version of them. So, it kind of hit me pretty hard when Eddie passed away. So I was like, you know what? Let me come out of fucking, I guess, retirement, from booking shows here and there and put something together. You brought me in as being like the organizer. I guess I had the idea, but I also have to give props to Artie Alexander from Fire is Murder, because he took Eddie in for the last several years of Eddie's life, and he played with Eddie for the last couple of years of his life. So he's behind the scenes as well, like doing a lot of like legwork and trying to, especially with the tribute set, the Leeway tribute set, because there's a lot of moving parts with that. So he pretty much took like control of that.
Hey, I'm doing a song, right?
Yeah, you're doing Kingpin, right? That's what you told me. Don't fucking flake.
Bro, I better fucking listen to it.
Yeah, how do you just not know that in your sleep?
Well, everybody knows I am the Kingpin, but
it's not even I am the Kingpin. It's all hail the Kingpin. Holy shit.
I better listen to the song.
Yeah, you need to do a little homework, bro.
Oh my God.
Wow, I am the Kingpin.
Oh, hail the Kingpin.
Holy shit, man.
Oh my God.
Exactly.
Quick question. Quick question.
What happened?
Quick question. Is Timmy singing for Token Entry, or this is the original Token Entry with Anthony Cominel singing?
Yes. Yeah. And some people were asking me, like, how come it's a short set? I'll put it out there right now. Token Entry is doing the first ever 7-inch.
Right. Okay. That's cool.
The Ready or Not 7-inch is being done because Anthony was a singer.
Right. That's pretty
So,
cool.
yeah, people are laughing at you, Drew.
I am the kingpin.
That's hilarious. Um, so all right. So I was thinking, all right, I didn't want like really heavy. I didn't want Cookie Monster vocal bands. I wanted something more, I guess, traditional and whatever to go along. And I named the whole thing For the Love of Eddie Leeway. It's, you know, at the end of the day, I want to be able to walk out of there knowing that on the selfish tip, that when I walk out, I want to be like, you know what? I honored and I paid tribute to my friend, and I hope that whatever comes in the door helps his family. That's it. You know, every single dime that's coming in that door is going to his two sisters who will be there. I've had meetings with them, along with Artie, and everything is all on the up and up and all that. So
Well, Artie,
I just want to put that out there.
Yeah, Artie's really in a lot of ways the like you mentioned, he's the, how can I say this? He's the soul. I mean, he was so tight with Eddie. Eddie lived with him the last couple of years of his life. You know, Eddie was Artie, you know, and Gabby, you know, their band Damn My Eyes was basically Leeway, the backup band for Leeway.
Yeah.
So, you know, and no disrespect to any of the Leeway former members. But
no, there's no disrespect at all.
They don't come around. They don't play. They're not interested in being a part of it.
Right.
And you know, so that's what's up.
Right. Yeah. And it's like, you know, a lot of people come out of the woodwork and they want a part of it, but it's like, you know, like people know that like all the shit talk and this and that. It's like all of a sudden now you want to get your little shine. It's really not happening, you know?
Yeah. So there you go. And there is room on the boat because, you know, we're playing this thing in Jersey, which is a bunch of different bands. And this is cool too. So a lot of people
100%.
A lot of people loved Eddie, and a lot of people are getting down.
There should be tributes in every state.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. All right.
So wait, hold on real quick before you cut me off, because I know you had enough of my shit.
What are you waving at?
What's up? I have to say it, and I have to thank Jimmy. Speaking of the Kingpin, I was not able to make it to Eddie's memorial, and Jimmy was kind enough to bring me a mass card. And most of the time when you get a mass card, it has a prayer on the back. Eddie's has the lyrics to Kingpin on the back.
Which is incredible.
Which is
That's
so cool.
the greatest. All right, I just got to say one thing real quick, is that when I walked into Eddie's wake, I walked in and I approached Eddie's casket. It was closed per his request. And I'm standing there and I'm paying my respects, and really low above my head, I hear Who's to Blame by Leeway playing.
That's cool.
Eddie had Leeway playing really low as like ambiance, like background music in the funeral home.
Right.
I was like, I think that's awesome.
Yep. Steven, hey, let me get rolling. Steven, I'll see you in a bit.
Good to see you, Steve. All right, so real quick, I know you're short for time. I just want to run through the lineup real quick. I have to say the first band that's playing, Moment of Truth, I have to give them huge props, because one of the members of the band is coming all the way from Colorado to play first for 20 minutes. So I don't want to hear somebody who's in Brooklyn or Queens, oh, they just couldn't make it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So that's all I got to say about that. There's two bands that are playing this that are on Rampage Fest this Sunday, whose Silence Equals Death and Fire is Murder. Ice Cold Killers is playing. The Leeway tribute set. I'm not going to divulge who we have for singers and whatnot, because there's still some things being worked out, but it's going to be incredible. Like I said before, Token Entry is doing the original first full entire 7-inch with Anthony Communov from Killing Time on vocals. And Anthony, of course, was him and Eddie go back since they were little kids, and Eddie meant a lot to him. So it took him about 3 hours to get back to me to let me know that Killing Time is good to go to headline this memorial for all of our friends.
Fantastic. And as it gets closer, you'll pop back on again, and we'll talk.
You let me know.
Are they selling tickets in advance for this thing?
No, and that's on purpose. Get there early and come to the show. $20 at the door. It is 21 and up at Lucky 13. I'm not taking no Venmo. I'm not doing PayPal. $20 cash at the door, and you come in. Come there early, and because it's going to be packed. Lucky 13 is a small spot, and just the members of 7 bands are going to pack the room. Plus, Anthony Comunale is not a little guy.
All right. All right, good. Jimmy, good to see you, Jimmy.
I'll see you Sunday.
All right, good. It'll be fun. I'll talk to you
later. It will.
All right.
Later.
I am the Kingpin. That's right. Got to do my homework, man. Actually, we Incendiary Device were playing it last night at rehearsal. So that said, woo! All right, back to our regularly scheduled programming. Let's bring on our guest, Kevin Salk. Hey, man.
Howdy.
Sorry, bro. The horses got a little bit out of the corral on that one.
The energy from people in New York is the best, and he's got a killer last name too, Ferrari.
Especially Brooklyn. He's like a real Brooklyn guy. You know? So there you go. So let me ask you. You kind of did the rounds here, and I want to split up the show now between sort of the '80s and why did you stop taking photos? I know you like you mentioned, the photos were kind of put in a storage room for like 30 years. What was the what culminated and you sort of headed, putting the camera away and the stuff going and the negatives going into storage? Fill us in on that.
Well, I think a lot of it is when Chuck Dukowski left Black Flag, everything changed. The scene was changing. Black Flag changed to a style of music which I really did not like. I liked the hardcore. I liked the speed, and they just changed to something I didn't like. And the scene was changing, so I was gonna, I was going to college, and it was just time to maybe I got burnt out. But a lot of it was the music had changed. Maybe it wasn't as hardcore as it was when it became less hardcore, but a lot of it was kind of pinpointed when Chuck left the band, and it just the music was different, and I need to go back and look and listen to some of the songs from the Black Flag albums, and but this was, I had graduated high school in '83. And so I had to kind of move on with my life, and even started to listen. My music expanded. I went to college, joined a fraternity, partied my brains out. Kind of went to class once, as much as I could, and just enjoyed the new part of my life, I guess. But really left. I'm kind of you're either all in or you're all out. So I got into, I loved AC/DC and was fortunate to see Guns N' Roses right after they came out with Appetite for Destruction.
Sure.
But I majored in fraternity and got an A+.
Where did you go to school? Where did this happen?
Arizona State. So
right
we were professionals at drinking, and we did it well. And then after I graduated, kind of the typical path, work, and then met my former wife, got married, lived in Manhattan Beach, bought a house. Prior to that, we had two. My ex-wife gave birth to 2 amazing daughters.
Vinny Doak says, "Oh man, ASU is a party school."
Vinny is on point for that.
Yeah.
It was a party school. It's again, it's kind of like punk rock music. Is you lose some of these universities, they lose that the romance, they lose the college environment.
Right.
And but it was so we had kids, and I just went on with my life, played golf, and did the usual thing that
Sure.
a yuppie would do back then. But I had always talked. I had put some of my photos up on Photo Shelter, which was an older website to put photos up.
Was that like in the MySpace era?
I think it was close.
Yeah, yeah.
And I looked at it, but it was just I never followed through on anything. I mean, what was cool is that Maurice Nunez, who's basically the Misfits official photographer, bought like 5 of my prints way back. But I talked about doing a book, but it just never came to fruition. So I left the scene completely and moved on with my life from 1980, August of 83, really until July 22nd of 2019.
Wow.
It was that specific.
93.
And I didn't listen to the music. I was, again, I was really into metal, not the scene and all the, I didn't wear spandex and grow my hair long. It was just, I liked the music. And, again, the classic rock, but punk rock was definitely not on my playlist. And then
did you ever see, did any of these guys ever come back across your radar screen in those years there, where you were walking down the street, oh shit, was there any moments where you were like, oh wow?
Not really. I mean, I was I was a nobody back then when I was a kid. And I was friends with the guys in Pennywise because Jim Lindbergh and we've known each other since junior high school.
Right.
I've known Fletcher since, well, he didn't really go to high school, but around that time. So I knew of them and knew how successful they were, but it just wasn't, I had other things in my life that was going on. And one of them was a divorce, an ugly divorce, and, focused more on working and playing ice hockey, which was a great place for me to get rid of all my anger
right
on someone else. And had a great time doing it.
So what was the impetus that inspired you? How did this stuff come out of the netherworlds? What was the event that got you to reintroduce this stuff in the internet age?
It was July 22nd, 2019. I'm sitting in my office in Westwood, I'm 3 blocks from the Federal Building, and I get a email from Frank Coiro, who runs Fathom Gallery, and he had said that introduced himself on an email and said, I saw some of your stuff online and wanted to see if we could get together. I love your work. And so that was probably about 10 in the morning, and I was there. I got to his office maybe at 10:30. I dropped everything. I canceled any meeting I had, and I drove over there. And so that was a Tuesday.
What was excuse me, but were the elements at your fingertips?
No. He was doing a show called Punk: A Culture of Attitude.
Right.
And Drew Carolyn was part of that show.
Our mutual friend Drew Carolyn.
Because Drew is also represented by Frank Coiro and Fathom. So that's how I got to meet Drew. And for he and I, we just connected day one. Yep. He's
I've known Drew Carolyn a long time.
Just a genuinely great human being.
Yeah.
And they needed shots from that 80s hardcore scene. And so that call was on a Tuesday. I had my negatives and all my stuff in a storage box in my closet. That Wednesday they had all my negatives. Thursday I signed the contract, and Saturday I was in a photo exhibition
Wow.
and had no idea what the fuck was going on. It happened so fast
It's exciting.
that I didn't even know what I was supposed to do in the gallery. And fortunately, my partner is in the art world, so she was able to give me some tips on what to do. But I think I definitely polished off a bottle of wine that night. I was so fucking nervous.
Was it exciting to connect with people who really relished, this bit of history?
I was still in such a state of shock. What the fuck is going on here?
Right.
And then it just kind of it's I mean, Frank Coiro changed my life for the
That's
better
awesome.
and forever.
These
And
things happen.
as I started to go through my photos, and granted, it was really special to be thought of as someone had a great eye and put. I mean, I'm like, who are you talking to? I'm not Drew. I'm not an Ed Culver. Who you talking about? And it just kind of blossomed where I started to listen to the music again, and I started to peel back the layers of all the bullshit that went on in my life from when I started college to after, and getting caught up in just bad decisions, and I think I had a bad case of affluenza, and just kind of an arrogant prick. And what this taught me was, it brought me back to who I really am. And I lost my mom 20 years ago, and I mean, Jesus, I put her through so much in my punk rock scene, but I now appreciate her more and learned more about her through this metamorphosis and this rebirth back into punk rock. And I appreciated through photography how important this part of my life was, not only for me, but also as part of music history.
Absolutely.
But I looked at my suits and my ties, and I'm like, I don't need this shit. People are either going to like me for who I am, or they're not. And I just don't really care. If they don't, fuck them. I don't care. Move on to the next. But it really brought back what punk rock meant to me. And I'm still that angry, alienated adult child that I'm working through with a lot of therapy. And but music has been my therapy, and photography has been my therapy. I mean, when I go to a gig, I'm in my element. And granted, I remember the first time someone was like, "I love your work. Can I take a picture with you?" And I looked around. I'm like, me? Or they wanted me. It's been a crazy journey back, but it's been a blessing, because now I really kind of know who I am, and punk rock is raw. And that's kind of what made it so attractive. Is there's not a lot of glam. It's just, this is what it is. It's no bullshit.
And this basically sort of this resurgence in your work led to the book Punk Photos from a Fan's Perspective, correct?
Yeah, I mean, right before COVID, the lockdown started, I was able to at Fathom have my own solo photography exhibit, which talk about another freak out. Having my own, I was never one who liked being the center of attention, and to be able to have this place where I was sharing it with my family and friends and people who are now friends of mine. I mean, the people I've met now are just such genuinely cool people and kind people and real. And it really helped peel away more layers. But the solo show was, I mean, I'm in sales and marketing, and I use those marketing skills to get people to show up, and it was sold out. And we got some really great reviews from some magazines that showed up. And then the next phase was Frank saying, you should write a book. And but the funny thing with the photo is, I took this shot, this was July 4th, 1982, at the barn in Torrance where Minor Threat was, Dead Kennedys were headlining. And of all the shots that I took that night with the point and click camera, this is the only one that came out.
The only one.
Only one. I mean,
do you know who's playing while this is happening?
I'm sure it was probably Minor Threat, I think.
Yeah, it looks like a Minor Threat crowd.
But it's actually the photos in color, and the guy with the mohawk, I mean, I think it's got a green, but it's that one shot. But the book just made sense, and the catharsis of writing it, because the whole idea of the book is I'm a fan. I wasn't a photographer when I was taking photos. I was just a fan, a kid with a camera, and who enjoyed photography, but never in my life would I expect what would have happened in the future. But I wanted to make it not like a punkumentary book. I wanted it to be interesting and people to have fun reading it. So Fletcher just wrote the epic forward. And what the whole idea was to have conversations or get anything from the bands that I shot back then, because there weren't many. I mean, this was basically it. I did shoot the Dead Kennedys at the Whiskey, but they were also point and click world. But it was great because due to my relationship with Ian, I got all the guys in Minor Threat to talk about things. I mean, Lyle had a great piece about how because he got all his they got his order wrong at Der Wiener Schnitzel. Now every time he goes out, they always fuck up his order. But I got some really fun stories. I didn't get anything from the Misfits. I become friends now with Doyle, and for my next project, I want to see if I can get him involved. And Doyle's also just one of the coolest guys out there. No bullshit. But I'm not going to get into too much about Glenn Danzig and his attitude about things. But I was able to get. I took a quote from Henry because he gave me a hard no, but I took a quote from his book. And then had the guys in the bands. I had Keith talk about stuff. I had Greg Hetson talk about stuff, especially when they were playing in New Orleans. And he took a Quaalude that was not a good quality Quaalude, and woke up the next morning and all his laundry was folded. And he asked one of the guys in the band, "Who did my laundry?" And they're like, "Well, you did it, 2 in the morning." So there were some really funny stories. And Ian went through a very more articulate part because that's Ian. Earl Liberty's got some great stories, but the whole idea is let's make it fun. Let's make it a book that is not, it was serious in writing it. And big shout out to Frank Coiro at Fathom, because he designed it and did an amazing job. And the whole idea is whole idea was just, this is what it was like to be a fan. And I was so nervous because a lot of the guys I talked to, we'd have a call, I would record it with their permission. But to be on a call with Keith, with like Chuck Dukowski, I was trembling. I mean, I was in my 50s and still geeked out about talking to guys that were the legends of my youth. And it was just an amazing experience. And now and then the book shows were just off the charts.
So are you now looking towards the future? You mentioned a new project, and
yes.
Like what I just showed and some of the other shots I have, could you tell us sort of what's going on next?
It's going to be a similar theme. It's going to be called Punk Then and Now from a fan's perspective. So the idea is where a lot of like, what did the then mean to the now for me? It was a 35-year gap between my punk rock stints. But I also want to hear it from the band members' standpoint and I haven't reached out to band members yet, but I will be soon, and just talk about what did back then mean to you, or what did, when you were youth, what happened over those 35 years, and just not really have many parameters. But it's the cool thing is there's bands that I shot now, like Bad Religion, who I didn't shoot when I was a kid. And sorry, Brian, if you're listening, Bad Religion was not one of my favorite bands. They weren't, well, you were in Minor Threat, so it didn't matter, but they weren't hardcore enough for me. Same with Social Distortion.
I hear you, man. I was a hardcore kid too. And what you said about Dukowski, to me, when Dukowski left Black Flag, it was over, man. He to me was the heart of that band, man. I agreed with you on that. But yeah, revisiting a lot of these guys many years later.
And I'll be talking to John Brannon, who's one of the nicest people, and just talk about his then and now, or have him talk about his then and now, or something that was interesting, because I want people to read it and just that I'm not trying to have people learn something, because it's not, again, a puckumentary. It's just going to be a fun journey back in time and in the future, not in the future, but it's a journey back in time, back and forth.
And who's this?
This is Jim Limburg from Pennywise. So right. Jim will be, I didn't shoot Pennywise when they were starting because I was already out of the scene, but I've shot them a number of times now, and they're friends of mine. So to be able to talk to Jim about his evolution into Pennywise, and what his influence has been in terms of, he's a father of 3 daughters. Fletcher is going to be very interesting when I go to him and ask him for words, because Fletcher's Fletcher. Mm-hmm. And he does like to fuck with people a lot. So, but
let me ask you, you grew up with Fletcher. When you were kids, he wasn't in a band. You step away from the whole thing for a while. Did you have any concept of like your friend Fletcher being in this band Pennywise that actually became such a big band?
Well, his first band was a band called Con 800.
Okay, see, that's a little out of my. Yeah, I'm an East Coast guy, so I didn't
that was his first band, and he was a twig. I actually shot photos of them at a rehearsal, and he's, you can still see Fletcher, but he's gotten a bit bigger and somewhat taller, but you got to respect because he's stayed in it from the beginning and has helped a lot of bands like Slaughterhouse and other bands. He loves to promote, and he's a big lovable giant, and he's been very good to me, and I'm very appreciative of Jim and Fletcher.
Stephen Messina just sent me a message. Have him hook us up with Fletcher. We got to get him on the show.
That I will do. That's I will put that on my to-do list. They're touring right now in Europe, and I respect those guys because they love to tour. It's got to be hard because with families. they're different now. You have
they're career musicians. They're career musicians. They go out on tour and they make a lot of good money. It's a little bit easier when that's how they pay their rent and bills.
But it's with kids and being away from them for that long. But it's still, that's the one thing, is listening to the bands that I loved as a kid and that are still playing, like the Circle Jerks. They kill it. Yeah, they are so tight.
And this band too, right?
And the Descendants, and Milo's become a good friend, and again, these guys have been great to me, and I'm very grateful for the doors they've opened and giving me, allowing me to shoot photos of them. But yeah, it's different. You have photo releases. You have, it's a business, but the thing is I love interacting with the fans, and I shoot photos of the fans, and part of it I also give them my card so they can look me up on Instagram. But it's fun to see now multiple generations where a dad who was a big Descendants fan as a kid now has his kids become big fans of the Descendants, and it's neat to see that mother,
Absolutely.
daughter, father, daughter, son, etc., father, son, etc., etc. It's neat to see.
It's generational at this
And
point.
it's also safer, where they can go and feel comfortable bringing their kids to a gig and not have to worry about. I mean, you still have these assholes out there. I mean, I remember I was shooting Punk in the Park, and it was right before Suicidal was going to play, and their shows they've always been insane. But some asshole was trying to, I don't know what he was doing, but he got kicked out right before they went on. And I'm like, why are you doing that? And so, but I think it's safer for adults because a lot of the band members have kids, so they look out for, and it's neat to see the enthusiasm, because again, I'm still a fan at age 59, and they were me when I was their age, and it's just it's cool. They know. I mean, Bad Religion, a lot of these bands have stood the test of time where kids know every single song, every word, and it's just great. There's so many benefits and blessings that I've been able to take away from this. And yeah, it does give you a jump in your step when you're walking around and you're been in the local newspapers, and it's good for my ego. I mean, we all need some accolades or some attaboys as we age gracefully.
Yeah, it helps. It helps. I can attest to that. Hey, let me take a quick sponsor break.
No worries.
And then let's come back and let's take some questions from around the world, okay?
Love it.
That's right. This is the one, the only New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. Our guest today is photographer Kevin Salk. We are sponsored by blah, 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 and Mad Vintage. Mad Vintage buys, sells, and collects band shirts, primarily hardcore. The DIY operation was started and is operated by a hardcore kid who just loves collecting and eventually got into vintage clothing, specifically the realm of vintage band shirts. They're always looking to buy out collections to either keep, sell, or trade. New shirts added daily at www.madvintage.com and posted on Instagram. Dig deep into that closet of crap and reach out to them. Help me help you, Mad Vintage. Last but not least, our buddy George. 126 Hardcore Clothing is a streetwear brand for restless individuals who don't compromise, like you, my friend. They're about being positive, spontaneous, and true to yourself. For years, they experimented with several printing methods and materials and collaborated with a large number of designers and illustrators, always giving room for fresh perspectives while retaining the hardcore attitude. Get in touch with them and ramp up your game at www.126clothing.com. That said, a couple of upcoming shows. So there is we are not doing a show on Sunday because Rampage Fest is happening. And then that week, I'm going to Florida to visit the one, the only Arnie Stone. So the next time we are back here is Sunday, June 9th, with old school New York hardcore drummer from Even Worse, Jack Rabbit. He was also the publisher and editor of the Big Takeover. The week after that, we have Ted Parsons on the show from Swans, Prong, and Godflesh. The week after that, we got Gabe from 1876 Pow Wow Punk Rock on the show. The week after that, it is the return of our old friend Dave Smalley, who just got over a big health scare. He's feeling better right now, and he's coming on the show along with his bandmate from Down by Law, Sam Williams. Here we go, Sunday, July 17th, Springer from SSD Control. The week after that, Tony Portaro from Whiplash, celebrating 40 years of Power and Pain. A couple days after that, Jonathan Alpolieri. It's been a while. We're doing a Side Trips episode. He is a war photographer. He was taken hostage in Syria. This is going to be a very heavy show. Just announced Sunday, September 8th. Yes, we are booking that far into the future. Vinny Stigma, celebrating the book of his release, Vinny Stibner, The Most Interesting Man in the World, along with our friend and sometimes co-host, Howie Abrams, will be on the show. So that is going to be great. I know some of you are wondering how you can support the show. Well, the show needs your support. Please do so. There is a Patreon page. Come on, a $2 tier, a $5 tier, et cetera, et cetera. The best way to support the show, which is support-based. It is your support that makes the show happen. Please support on Patreon. I want to shout out Andrew Jones, John Steinhammer, and Brad Irvin, latest patrons. Please, if you're thinking about it, you know, there's a lot of yous out there who've been watching the show a long time. Please make the jump and support the show on Patreon. There's also a PayPal address right there. It's stone4124 at AOL. There's also a super chat function. Any way you can support the show is duly appreciated. If you have a communication device, which I'm sure you do, please follow the show on Instagram, Stone Films NYC. Please subscribe to, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the show right there so you get alerts when new shows are happening. And do a like the show. Please like the show. That said, I think we covered a lot. Let me see. Please post your questions to Kevin regarding any of this stuff, and we will bring him on. Yes, Hegs. Yes, listen. Brought to you by Hegs, the key driving force and sponsor behind Rampage Fest. Kevin Hegarty, big one coming up this Sunday. Get your shoes and socks on, kids. It is right around the corner. Let's bring our guest back on, photographer Kevin Salk. Hey, man.
Howdy. Glad to be back.
Let's see what you got. From RS70, did you ever get into graffiti and skateboarding back in the 80s or 90s?
I was a terrible skateboarder.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't have the balls to go, do stuff, but I had a skateboard and thought I was a skateboarding little grommet. The only graffiti was posting flyers and gluing flyers around town for punk rock gigs. So no, I mean, I'm not a very good artist, but I have terrible handwriting. So I think photography is a place where I guess that's my medium.
Right on. Yep. This is a good one. And we sort of touched on this, but let's go there again. Kevin, what was the scariest show you ever shot or played? You know, what was like the scariest?
Hands down, Bob's Place in Watts. If whatever city you live in, think of the worst neighborhood. If you're in the Chicago area, think of playing a punk rock show in the west side of town or South Chicago. This was Crips turf, I believe, and they didn't like people like us coming into their neighborhood. And some of the things that I heard about after were just added to the fact that what the fuck are we doing there in the first place? But
sure.
The stories are the fun. The things you survive are the things that are fun to talk about.
I really love when people come out of the shadows to ask a question. Dina Douglas, hi. Kevin, what bands do you wish you'd been able to? You wish you'd been able to photograph? Is there anyone from that early '80s era that got away, or you wanted to, or you couldn't make it that night? Anybody from that era?
Oh yeah, a lot. And Dina, by the way, is an amazing photographer. So do please check out her work. It's fantastic. But a lot of it was shooting Dez when he was in Black Flag. I'm envious of Glenn Friedman and the shots that he took.
Sure.
Got the list is long. It would be even like China White or Social Distortion back then. I wish I went to more gigs. I mean, the Fleetwood, which was considered at the time one of the gnarliest places of any punk rock gig to go to.
The Fleetwood was in Redondo Beach, right?
It was in Redondo. You had just a big mix of South Bay and Orange County.
Right.
And the violence there, from what I understood, was just off the charts. And my friend, my closest friend who got me in the punk rock scene, I'm still pissed at him to this day because he did not force me down there. He did not. He'd ride his bike down there with his brother. And I wish he forced me there. But yeah, there are a lot of bands. I just wish I took more. I mean, it was only really like 6 or 7 gigs. I wish I shot tons more. So the regrets.
You and me both. You and me both. You know. Yeah.
But I'm grateful for what I have, and shooting bands today, that's fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Good question, Hazer. Are your daughters into photography?
My youngest is, she likes photography. She's definitely like my mom. She's a bit of a free spirit, has more tattoos than I do. And it's fun to be able to share some of the music with her. Bringing her to the Circle Jerks and Descendants show up in Berkeley was really special. But of course, she asked me, Dad, are we going to be VIP? And is there beer? And the answer was yes and yes. But we had a great time, and it was really neat to be able to share that with her and introduce her to the bands, guys who I grew up watching. And it was neat because at that night there were 6 people from Maricosta High School, because my youngest went there. So there was 6 graduates of Maricosta. And then my oldest daughter lives in South Carolina and not interested in the punk rock scene. Never has and probably never will.
Right on. James, the Misfits Suicidal Agnostic Front thing you saw, that's not a tour. I think it's one show in Texas that they just announced, a big arena show. Misfits Suicidal Agnostic Front, I think a couple others. But the Misfits with Glenn Danzig, they're not touring. They're not a touring band. They play shows every couple of months. So that's just in that. Let me ask you this one shot that I still have. What is going on here?
So that is Carl Alvarez, the bass player for the Descendants. And I'm trying to take shots that are unique. Like, I like taking shots of people's shoes on stage just because it's fun. So I've been trying to do, I like doing close-ups, and this one just, I must have fired a few, but it just came out great. And that is something I'm doing more now, is taking photos of the musicians' hands, because there's some interesting things tattooed on their hands. And we're actually doing a charity print. We haven't gone live yet with Mike Ness, because he has stars tattooed on his fingers, and a shot came out really cool. And we're going to be doing it where there'll be a fundraising part of it to one of his pet rescues. So that should be coming up shortly.
Fantastic. And let me say to anybody out there, the book is Punk from a Fan's Perspective, and you can purchase it at Kevin's website, which is www.kevinsalkphotography.com. Go there and pick it up. Get it from the source. We're talking about the old early 80s DIY ethos. Well, here it is. Get it from the source. Get it from Kevin's website, right?
And all books are signed by me.
Nice.
And again, I thank everyone who has purchased my book. I'm sorry for the delays. That was supply chain and COVID issues, but now we are back live and printing again. So I'm very excited to get it out there. And also on my website, I write a blog that is just me writing, and it's got a fun flavor to it. There was one of my blogs is called "The Night My Mom the night my mom thought I was dead. And Drew Carolyn took that shot, by the way.
Oh, is that right?
But it's a fun place for me to put stuff, my words out there. I don't take this stuff too seriously, except when I'm shooting. But you can also, I have prints that are for sale through Fathom Gallery, who represents me, and Fathom was the publisher of my book. So, yeah, again, this has been a onion peeling journey back, and I like myself a lot better today than I did prior to all of this, to July.
Right.
I mean, literally I like myself a lot better than I did on July 19th or July 21st of 2019. I've met neat people. I've been able to be fortunate and shoot photography and listen to music, and it's been a blessing. And being able to be part of this show is also just very exciting. And Drew, I'm very thankful for and everyone for listening in. Very grateful. Thank you.
Well, thank you for being a part of the show. I appreciate it. And I love doing shows like this when, it's really not stressful. It's like we're really just kind of doing a show and tell, and it's not a high impact thing. It's like it's very comfortable and really enjoyable for me as well. And especially when the guests like yourself, we're the same age. We grew up in the same era. You were on the West Coast, I was on the East Coast, and we both lived the first wave of American hardcore at the same time. Let me bring Stephen Messina back on, and we'll wrap it up. Stephen, anything you want to throw in the mix here? Any perspective?
I'm just really so happy that we finally got Kevin on, and I really this has been great. I mean, this is my favorite. These are my favorite episodes. These are the people that capture and document everything and how important it is. And I'm just glad you're back shooting now.
Yeah.
It's kind of a fun story. Like it's like a band reuniting almost. Like you kind of reclaimed your position in the pit.
That's cool.
It's again, like I said, it's been a journey back in time and a journey into my future that, I'm at, I wouldn't say I'm at peace, but it makes me whole. And photography is, looking at the world through a lens, whether you're at a gig or you're just walking around town, or traveling. And the new technology is just stunning what you can do with a camera. So it's also to be published. My partner is writing her next book, and she's got a PhD in art history. So it's cool to be two publishers in the same household. And I will be shooting more. Hopefully No Values will be on the docket, but
oh, wow.
I'm working on that. Got to call in my favors.
That's a big one, man.
And I just, again, I'm going to spend more time on the blog. Obviously I got to work and race my bike and just keep living every day.
Good.
So I have to ask you, is there a band now? Like I got to shoot this band. Is there one band out there that you really want to catch?
Oh yeah. I mean, I may have already caught them. Suicidal is madness, and they're so great. Drew, I sent you a shot of Ben Weinman that is just one of my favorite shots. Slipknot, just shot him twice.
Wow.
Never expected to be in a photo pit. And I love Slipknot. Not the most, they're not the most punk rock popular of bands, but they fucking bring it. And but who would I want to shoot the most right now? That's a good question. Metallica would be one, but maybe it's the band that's one of the newer bands, like you were saying, Drew, earlier. It's those bands that are young, and they need the exposure. And I think it's important for photographers to shoot bands in small clubs.
Absolutely.
Because with social media, and they're so grateful for what we do, and it's neat to it's great to be able to help them and say, here's my, I took your shots, you guys were great, here's my photos, use them to help promote your band. And so yeah, maybe that's who I want to shoot next is, who's just a killer new band that's playing great music.
We got to get you out to the Bowery then one of these days.
you got to come to New York and come to some of our shows, man.
I want to, one of the bands I want to shoot is Agnostic Front.
Well, hell yeah.
Because there's so much history in them. I did see the Lunatics, Steve, the weekend that I was out. I saw the Lunatics at the Howie Pyro.
That was the day I saw you, I think.
They were great.
What, at Webster Hall?
Webster, was it Bowery or Webster?
Was it Bowery? I think it was Bowery Ballroom.
Oh, Bowery Ballroom. Okay.
That was it.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, right. It was Bowery Ballroom.
They were awesome.
Yeah, they're great.
I think that was the same day that you did the signing at Generation.
Exactly.
Yes.
Thanks for being one of the 5 people who showed up.
You know what? I got to thank my guitar player, Rob, turned me on to your work, actually. And he told me you were going to be there. And I made a point to be there. And it really was great to, unfortunately, it was great because I had a lot of time to talk to you and you signed the book. And it was great I was literally turned on to you and met you the next day.
Nice. Yeah.
So
it was also for me, I was able to share it with my older daughter who used to live in New York. So that was cool. And then one of my fraternity brothers lives in New York. So being able to see him after 20 years was just great. So hopefully some more stuff coming up in the future. But right now it's I got to get to writing my book and shooting gigs and having fun.
Good.
Awesome.
Steven, I will see you on Sunday at Rampage Fest.
Absolutely.
Oh God.
Drew, do you guys have New York hardcore t-shirts?
Well,
the logo.
You know what? No. No. And I'll tell you why is because a lot of people have that logo is sort of universal out there. And there's numerous people that have shirts with that, with the logo. And I personally sort of shied away from, profiting from the New York hardcore logo. It's been on my stuff. Like I did the New York Hardcore Chronicles film and the logo was incorporated in it. But, I have to, it's true. I have a merch store. You could find it. Yeah. I do have a merch store. It needs to be updated and it's got some New York hardcore, but I absolutely need to sort of ramp up, update my, what do you mean you just ordered it? You just ordered you're being funny, right? Because there are New York hardcore yoga pants. There are on my site, there's New York hardcore yoga pants. And there's the New York hardcore mug and there's also, so I guess in a certain regard, yes.
I will be I will be buying some merch, most definitely.
Oh, well, there you go.
And Drew, a book will be sent to you.
Thank you.
Next week for sure.
That's what I need to do. I was thinking of this. I must get together and get a nice design shirt, a New York Hardcore Chronicles Live design shirt, because I'm so caught up in doing the friggin' show. I should be trying to monetize it somehow.
When people should get this t-shirt.
There you go.
Oh, that's awesome.
Right.
It's very thrilling to be part of the permanent collection there too. That's that one I never expected.
I'm dying to go there.
It's got some amazing, anybody who's listening or watching, get to Vegas, go to the museum. There, it will blow your fucking mind. The things they have in there, from the last bag of weed from Joe Strummer before he passed away to New York hardcore. It's stunning. It's absolutely stunning what they have in their collection.
Cool. I'm looking up.
Trying
to see.
I actually have a shot of Pete Collar there in the jam room next to his white guitar.
Yeah, it's a neat experience. They've made it fun, and Fletcher's been involved since the beginning. I was involved in the photography with the photography team. They're great people, and they got some killer merch. But the stuff in there, you go and it's a journey back in time, and it can definitely help jog some memories that are in your brain but not present. But amazing stuff. So
Cool. Hey, I'm hungry. Let's wrap it up. Steven, I'll see you on Sunday.
Yes, Kevin, it was a pleasure.
Steve,
Thank
great
you.
to see you. Drew, thank you very much. Everyone, thanks for the kind words, and let's keep on punking.
Thanks, man. I'll talk to you soon, Kevin.
All right, see you guys.
There you have it. Another one in the books. Kevin Salk. This is New York. Hey, Whitney. Yes, I just saw. What are you going to do with all those leggings? And just for the record, I'm not sure what I was thinking when the leggings went up, but the markup on the leggings, I make 99 cents per pair of leggings sold. It is certainly not my most lucrative item, but I'm so happy that you went on the site and you bought some leggings. That said, I looked. I haven't looked on that site in a minute. The only thing that is sold on the site, the last 4 items have been leggings for Whitney Crawford. So, cha-ching, 99 times 4. I am the kingpin. Shit, I got to start listening to that song. That said, yeah, it's a money grab. The leggings, the New York Hardcore leggings are a money grab. And while you're at it, buy the mug. Woo! There you go. Thanks a lot, everybody. That was a great show. We'll see you. If you're not in New York for Rampage Fest, I'll see you a week after that when Jack Rabbit is on the show. I'm going to go be visiting. Yes, Hot Pants are next. Hot Pants and the New York Hardcore Dildo and everything else. We're trying to look out, trying to work out the box here. Think out the box. Thank you. It was a great show. But then again, we're in the business of doing great shows. Thanks a lot, everybody. Go Rangers. We'll see you all soon. Until then, do good things. And good things will come.